College basketball is back, and so are the Tar Heels.
This is Tyler Zeller, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up? It's Friday, October 24th, 2025. We are so back. Let's go. College basketball season is here. We're going live right after Carolina plays BYU in an exhibition. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Schade. You're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making us your first listener watch right after the game to break it all down. This is one of my favorite things that we get to do. I love going live. Special shout out to all the everydayers with us, all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, and all you insiders who are here as well. This episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like all the Tar Heel athletes, Mazda sweats every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. You guys, welcome in. It's great to be together. Carolina, yes, they lose to BYU 78-76. But boy, basketball is back, and this is not the Tar Heels of last year. There's a lot to clean up, absolutely. But boy, this is a team that's going to be much, much better. Want to welcome everyone in that's in the chat, in the comments. I see you guys rolling over there. We will get to your comments, your questions, your observations later in the show. So be dropping them in now, and I promise you we'll get there. By the way, we are 27 minutes away from it being Saturday, and we are 12 hours and 27 minutes away from kickoff of Carolina and Virginia tomorrow on at Keenan. And so we will go live after that as well. So make plans to be right back here. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about all sorts of stuff. Big picture things, minutia. We're going to talk stats. We're going to pull up the box score and look at it in real time. All sorts of stuff, individual players, moments, all of that. And again, we'll get to your comments as well. So here's where I got to start. Even before Caleb Wilson, I wrote this as this game was ongoing. I think I wrote it at some point in the first half. I can't remember when. I just said, win or lose, this North Carolina team is competing on the road against a preseason top 10 team that has already played an exhibition game on the road, that Carolina is not getting down by 20 points in the first half and having to fight their way back to have a shot at winning. Like I'm still traumatized by last season. You feeling me on that? It felt like it was night in and night out. And boy, Carolina was in this game and competitive the whole time. I think the biggest lead either way was BYU led by 8 at one point. This game, neither team ever led by double digits. This was a great, great showing by Carolina. I loved that the Tar Heels didn't just go out. Like I expect next Wednesday when they have their second exhibition against Winston-Salem State, they'll probably play, just try more stuff, more depth, more minutes for bench guys, etc. I mean, this was Carolina went out and went to try and win this basketball game. They didn't. And yeah, you'd love to win it, but man, you love that the Tar Heels were in it and competitive. As a reminder, for Carolina to be down only 4 at halftime after having looked really sloppy and messy, and we'll get to that, I was just like, okay, there is something here that you've already got with this team in their first moment against a team in a different jersey. This was fun. This was a great experience for Carolina to go on the road. I know it's not a true road game because it wasn't at the Marriott Center where BYU plays. But still, man, this is essentially a road game. That Delta Center was packed with BYU fans. It was a great moment. I'm so glad that Carolina went and did this win, lose, or draw. Yes. First takeaway beyond that, there's nowhere else we can start than Caleb Wilson. This young man is as advertised, right? How often has there been like these big name, 5-star elite freshmen coming in for Carolina, And they're not doing some of the same stuff you see at other schools. And I'm not saying Caleb's going to be able to do what he did tonight, game in and game out. But my goodness, let's go ahead and pull up that stat line just to say that first. 22 points on 9 of 17 shooting, 4 of 6 from the free throw line. The 2 that he missed were after he took that really hard fall and looked kind of banged up. So I'm going to chalk those up to that. 10 rebounds, so a dub in his debut, unofficial debut, 22 points, 10 rebounds. 4 of those were of the offensive variety, had 3 blocks, a hole in the first half, by the way, and a steal in 33 minutes. He tied Henry Vasar for the, one behind Seth Trimble for the most minutes on the team. As for the beyond the box score things of Caleb Wilson, it's not just the fact that he scored 22 points. It's that this young man wants so desperately to be so bought in on the defensive end of the floor too. And man, that two-way capability we've been taught. I literally use that phrase on today's Locked On Tar Heels. His two-way capability is what makes him so special, right? Like you get so many walking buckets, and I would rather him score 20 and do it all defensively than 30 and be a sieve on defense. And so, man, was just so encouraged to see all the frustration when he wasn't able to stay in front of his man or something of that, like just really, really, really good. So getting to a double-double with 20 points and the defensive capability is crazy. And early in this game, early in the first half, something that I took away that I'm really encouraged by is clearly the staff is comfortable with him doing this and has encouraged him to rip and run. You saw it multiple times. Caleb got a rebound. He's gone. He gets an outlet pass from a teammate and is out the door. That is something that Carolina has not often had from a big, the ability to lead the break, to run in transition, to get back in transition at the level that Caleb is going to be able to do. And that is something to be very encouraged by. I mean, that baseline kind of turnaround jumper it's smooth. It looks good. Look, he's not going to do this night in and night out, but to go on the road and not make this the Caleb versus AJ show, because he could have easily been sucked into trying to do that. Coach Rob cautioned against that on Thursday's show. Man, it was really, really encouraging to see from Caleb Wilson. I am glad that young man is a Tar Heel. Welcome. Let's do it. The next thing we got to go to, I think, let me go back outside the game for a second and just the Luka of it all. No Luka Bogavac in this basketball game. He was there. He traveled with the team. But as we talked about on Friday's Locked On Tar Heels, there was some kind of holdup with Carolina specifically that is not allowing him yet to be able to play. They're working on it. They said on the broadcast, Carolina is hoping to have him for their second exhibition game, which is next Wednesday against Winston-Salem State. I don't, who's to be able to trust, quite frankly, if that's just coach speak or if there's legitimacy to that. Because I'm not ready to, I will see Luka suit up and play when we see Luka suit up and play. That's where I'm at with this. It's just been on and on and on, and here we are. So in Luka's place, Carolina went jumbo with their starting. If 4 of the 5 were who you expected. And then the question with no Luka was, it's either going to be Jonathan Powell or Jaren Stevenson starting. I said I thought it would be Jonathan Powell, but I quickly understood why they went with Jaren Stevenson. Did you see who it was that got the defensive assignment on AJ Dybantsa? It was Jaren Stevenson. It was not Caleb Wilson. It was not Seth Trimble. It was Jaren Stevenson. We've heard and talked about so much, and we've seen it when Carolina has played Alabama the past couple of years, that Jaren is a great defender. And him being tasked with guarding AJ tells you a lot about how the staff feels about Jaren's defensive capability. I was very encouraged by that, not to mention the fact that Jaren poured in a couple really nice looking threes. He's somebody that I still don't understand how he didn't have a better 3-point percentage while in his 2 years in Tuscaloosa. In this game, he finishes with 9 points on 3 of 5 shooting, 2 of 3 from the 3-point line, 1 of 2 at the free throw line. He's not a good free throw shooter, but man, to know that that's what the staff trusted him with Makes all the sense why he was the starter over Jonathan Powell, but that really tells you something. And again, Coach Davis has talked about how much they want to focus in on and hone in on defense. And when you know what you already have with Seth Trimble, and no surprise, he was matched up with Richie Saunders, who is a phenomenal offensive player. We didn't really see that. He had an off night, thankfully. Good grief, thankfully. But with what Caleb does defensively as well, that's really encouraging. So no Luka in this game, but he traveled with the team. That says something. And so we'll wait to see what it looks like. But Jaren Stevenson, I thought, showed himself well. That said, Carolina's size. What a difference a year makes. I want to talk more about that. Talk about Seth Trimble and his leadership and him stepping up. That's what Carolina is going to need from him all season long. We'll get to all of that and more coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about Mazda, the episode is being brought to you by Mazda's Moving the Game Forward moment for those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, they move culture, and they keep the game moving forward. For tonight, for that moment, it's got to be Caleb Wilson, man. Stepping in, being that dude that we hoped he could be, and boy, did he deliver in a big way. Outscoring AJ Dybantsa in this game. Really encouraged by what we saw from Caleb Wilson. And boy, is he the next thing for the North Carolina Tar Heels. You need that NBA talent. He's got it. I'm encouraged. And when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. All right, as we come back together, I'm pulling up the box score because I know a bunch of you want to watch that. Those of you who are watching in real time, if you're listening back later, what's up? Glad you're here. I've put the box score up on my Twitter feed, and you can find it there and follow along in real time. Where I want to go next is talking about Carolina's size. We know it. We've seen it on paper. We've seen it on the roster. But my goodness, these Tar Heels are massive. With no Luka starting, with no Luka playing, I guess I should say, Carolina went with what I called the jumbo lineup. Yes, you had Kyan Evans and Seth Trimble at 6'2" and 6'3" in the backcourt, but then your 3, 4, and 5 was Jaren Stevenson, Caleb Wilson, and Henry Vesar at 6'10", 6'10", and 7 foot. Ain't many teams going to be able to match up with that. Now, shorter players can do other things to get around that and cause problems for bigger players. I get that and I hear that. But it's just such a relief after what Carolina had or didn't have in terms of size last year. And it's not just that these guys have height. It is that they have a unique skill set for big men that we are not used to seeing from the North Carolina Tar Heels. Yes, playing some traditional big moments like with Carolina's lack of rebounding last year, I cannot tell you how happy it made me. There was a possession where Caleb Wilson went in, I think, to try to score around the rim. He didn't get it. Henry Vesar tried to tip it back up. Then Caleb tipped it back up and in and got the bucket. He had multiple tip-ins in this game. And it just felt like Carolina Roy Williams basketball, like what we would have seen in the national championship season with Kennedy Meeks and Isaiah Hicks, right? Like just playing volleyball on the backboard, man. It's so good. And when you look at what Carolina did in dunks, last year was like, can we dunk sometimes? 6 of 6 in this game. Carolina had 6 dunks. We'll talk about Seth Trimble in a second. Oh my goodness, Seth Trimble. But with that size, I was talking about the unique skill sets. I mean, you're seeing Henry Vesar step out and shoot threes. He didn't hit him in this game, but he can. Oh boy, can he. You're seeing him then step out to the free throw line, drive, and finish. You're seeing that pick and roll game between he and Kyan Evans that is going to be lethal this season. I cannot wait to see every ounce of that. And so that is very encouraging to see just those unique skill sets that Carolina has. Jaren Stevenson driving and fouled. He can step out and shoot the 3. Caleb Wilson can shoot the 3. This is not your mother's Tar Heels, your grandmother's Tar Heels, maybe your great aunt once removes dog or something like that. But like to see Carolina bigs do that and open up the lane, we've been talking about it, but to finally see it happen, oh, chef's kiss. It was absolutely beautiful. Carolina has not been the offensive rebounding juggernauts in the Hubert Davis era that they were in the Roy Williams era. And I'm not expecting them to be that this year, because clearly there's some things to work on the defensive rebounding side of things, where Keba Cato was just ripping balls away from Carolina players, including Henry Vesar, all night long. That's one of the things that's got to be cleaned up from this game. Clearly and obviously, we all saw it with our big bug eyes. But this Carolina team is going to be able to offensive rebound at a much higher level than they did last year. The Tar Heels won the rebounding. It might not have felt like it. Carolina out-rebounded BYU tonight 40-38. 16 of their rebounds were offensive. Henry Vesar had 6 offensive rebounds to 2 defensive rebounds. That's important with the putbacks, the slams, the tip dunks that he can bring. Caleb Wilson had 4. So between Carolina's starting front court, they had 10 offensive rebounds. When could we have ever said that last year? I'm just telling you, man, the size is so special to have back. Let's talk about how important Seth Trimble is. He did not score the 33 points he scored in Carolina's exhibition at Memphis last year, but he was Carolina's second leading scorer, 17 points, 6 of 12 from the field. He didn't make a 3, 5 of 7 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds, just picking up where he left off last year, an assist and 2 steals, no turnovers. If Seth could turn that stat line in with maybe a made 3 night in and night out, boy, would I take it in a heartbeat. Maybe another assist or 2. But man, do you remember last year, Seth Trimble stepping up in so many moments, calmly and coolly, just banging down free throws in clutch moments? He did that tonight to bring Carolina back to within 2 in the closing minute of the game. And then had a shot to win the game. Like it was kind of the play did not go as well as I think Carolina wanted it to. They got it into Vesar well. Seth was guarded pretty well, but Vesar was able to get the ball to him. But even getting to the rim, he was met, and had to go to the other side of the rim because the shot blocker was there, and then it just couldn't really ever get it up on the rim. Henry couldn't grab the rebound, and I think he would have had time for the putback had that worked. It looked to me, do you remember the play when it was probably the exact same play Carolina ran down in Atlanta against Georgia Tech a couple years ago, where RJ got ahead of steam, got the ball right at the top of the key, and I thought he was fouled. They didn't call it. End of game. Yellow Jackets win. It looked like that same play hadn't worked in either of those moments, but Carolina's gotten the shot they want. And unfortunately, Seth just couldn't knock it down or get it up on the rim high enough, and Henry couldn't follow it up. But can we talk about Seth's 2 dunks, and in particular the first one? Because that sequence, man, if that sequence is what Carolina is going to be this year, watch out. Here's what it was. Rob Wright, BYU's point guard, drives by Caleb, put him on skates a little bit, but because of Caleb's length and athleticism, he's able to turn, recover, and block the shot into the corner right in front of the Carolina bench. One of the BYU players saves it with a big lob. Seth goes up and out jumps AJ Dybantsa to get that ball. Did a nice job against AJ when he was switched onto him, oh, by the way. Pitched it ahead to, I think it was Jonathan Powell in transition. Powell throws it back up for Seth. I mean, one-handed catches it and brings it down. I mean, absolutely thunderous. That sequence of defense to offense is what Carolina can be. If Carolina can be the defense that they were 2 years ago when they were number 8 in the nation at KenPom defensive efficiency, and use that defense to turn into the transition offense that they have with all their athleticism, this team could be phenomenal. Seth's leadership with this team is what Carolina needs night in and night out. The biggest concern in this game was turnovers. It was sloppy. It was ugly. A lot of it in the first half, if we're being honest, could be attributed to the fact that Kyan Evans had 2 fouls and was sitting on the bench with that foul trouble. I understand that. He ended up in the first half playing just 7 minutes compared to the rest of the starters who were all 14 or higher. And Derek Dixon, consequently, and we'll talk about the point guard situation here in a second, played 12. And so I think that's part of the issue in the first half, but Carolina had 11 turnovers. In the second half, they had 8 turnovers. So that's 19 for the game. That's too many. But this is what happens in an exhibition game. It's always sloppy. It's always kind of whatever. Like the fact that it was as competitive as it was and both teams trying to win, like that's special. You don't get that all that often in these games. BYU's first exhibition game, they weren't playing to win. They rested their starters a lot in the second half if you watch that game. All that to say, though, Carolina has to tidy up those turnovers. That cannot be a thing that's going to happen this season. Because if Carolina wants to be as efficient as they can be on offense, that cannot be the thing. Now, with the speed Carolina wants to play at, you're going to have some turnovers sometimes. But the ones we saw a lot tonight were just too sloppy. Frankly, that is a team that's not played together before, playing on the road, playing for the first time against an opponent, right? Like you recognize that and you say, yeah, it's probably what we expected to happen. And yet, hear me say, even despite that, Carolina had a shot to win this game or to go to overtime as the buzzer sounded. You'll take that. You will take that and you will run for the hills shouting, yeah, baby, look at what we did, despite all those turnovers. I can live with that. Next thing I want to look at is the rotation because, and keep in mind, no Luka Bogavac. So that the rotation's a little bit messed up tonight, but Jaren Stevenson in. Jonathan Powell and Zayden High were the first two off the bench coming in for Jaren and Caleb. Derek Dixon was third in coming in for Kyan Evans. And then Jaden Young came in. He was fourth. And then James Brown near the end of the first half. Some of the guys off the bench showed better than others. It's a tough night for Zayden High. He looked really solid Saturday in the scrimmage down in Cherokee. Just looked out of sorts in this game. I think he was trying to go too fast. Just needs to dial it back a little bit. Slow down, play your pace. He can do it. It's just like he got all worked up and getting back. And I get that. James Brown, not much time. He had those two moving screens within like 30 seconds of each other. It's like, buddy, James, just stand there. Your job is to let them run to you. If the screen doesn't work, reset, find new space, but you can't push and you can't lean into it. They're going to call that every single time. It's insane. So anyway, that was the rotation we saw. But the very interesting thing that we saw was point guard. You guys, for everyone who was worried about Kyan Evans, keep in mind, as I said, only played 7 minutes in the first half. Saturday down in Cherokee, he had unofficially 9 assists. In this game, while playing just 21 minutes, while the rest of the starters played 30 plus, I love that coach was giving them the opportunities. Kyan only played 21 minutes, 5 assists, 1 turnover. Is he going to do that every night? Probably not. But we just talked earlier this week. Could Kyan Evans average 5 assists a game? He just did that. BYU, notably not a great defensive team. Fine, whatever. But he just did that against a top 10 preseason team in this country. 5 assists to 1 turnover. If his assist to turnover ratio was even remotely something like that, we would be in great shape. Now, the other question is, who's going to be the backup 1? Because backup 1 and backup 5 are the big questions. I think our fears of the backup 5 were kind of confirmed on Friday night. Any fears we have of the backup 1, Derek Dixon's got it, man. He comes in. He is going to be that backup point guard. And he came in and did a great job. He looked seasoned. He looked when we talked about Zayden going a little too fast, Derek Dixon, man, he's going to take his time. You're not going to speed him up. He's going to do what he needs to do. He canned a 3 in the first half. What was Derek Dixon's line for the game? 7 points on 2 of 5 shooting, 1 of 3 from the 3-point line, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 1 rebound, 1 assist. Did have 3 turnovers, so you got to clean that up. But again, he's a freshman and did that in 17 minutes. If Carolina is going to have a competent, true backup point guard that allows Seth to continue to play the 2 and take some point guard minutes at times, as he did in this game, man, you can take that. So Kyan Evans and Derek Dixon, as you're between the 2 of them handling the point guard duties, man, I can live with that. And I will live with that. I'm very happy with it. So also, Henry Vasar just wants to dunk everything in sight. I will continue to take that all night long. Okay, There are currently 97 comments in our chat, and I promise you I would get to those, and that's where we're going to go next. I'm going to leave the box score up. We're going to get an ad read, and then we'll go see what you all have to say, bring you into the conversation on the show. Again, Carolina falling 78-76 to BYU, but what a fun night it is. College basketball is so back. Here we go. Get into your comments in just a second. Right after I tell you about FanDuel, you guys, the NFL season is here and FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 back in bonus bets if that bet wins. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you're going to unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. And when you use FanDuel, whether it's parlays, player props, even jumping in on the action live, it makes watching football even more exciting since you got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or maybe you're a nerd like me and you love riding in and diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. Carolina, 10.5-point underdog tomorrow at home against Virginia. Yikes. The Tar Heels have the third best odds at FanDuel to win the ACC regular season in basketball behind Duke and Louisville. And with NC State right behind. So what are you waiting for? You want to get in on that action? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app and get started today. All right, everybody, going to scroll up to the very tip top and let's have some more conversations. Lots of stuff in the vein of what we talked about right out of the gate. Obviously, you want to win, but man, what a great preseason game. Lots of fun, et cetera, et cetera. Debbie Barker says what I had said right out of the gate. All that PTSD from last year, Carolina getting down by 8 million points in the first half of every game and then scratching and clawing their way back with a shot to win. Debbie says, no getting down by 20 and having to dig out of a hole. Love it. Looks like it's going to be a better year. Debbie, if that alone is fixed from last year, I'm going to be a happy man, and we're going to have a lot better shows, and we're not going to have many therapy sessions here on Locked On Tar Heels. I will take that. T-Man, what's up, T-Man, from the Locked On Tar Heels Discord? That link's in the show notes. Come join us. T-Man says Jaron Stevenson and Seth Trimble will be a couple of the most elite defenders in the country. And what's encouraging, and you add into that how Caleb Wilson wants to be a high-level defender. Henry Vasar's rim protection. Caleb Wilson, with his reach, just swatting stuff. Kyan Evans looks like he's a guy that's going to fight. You've got Derek Dixon's size. You got Jonathan Powell's size, and he's got an edge to him. I'm with you, T-Man. Like I defensive metrics of individual defenders. It's like there is that, and we will start to look at it once we get more data points. But I am encouraged that Carolina is going to be at the very least closer to the top 10 defensive team that they were 2 seasons ago. And that is going to be really encouraging. Let's keep seeing what else we got here. Joseph's recap says, Isaac, I got Kobe White vibes from Caleb Wilson tonight. And here's what I imagine Joe means with this, because obviously they play different positions. Caleb does not have the salad on his head that Kobe does with that beautiful fro that's on top of his head. But probably, with due respect to other players since him, like Cole Anthony, Drake Powell, Ian Jackson. Joseph, I wonder if you mean in the way of Caleb being the most impactful freshman for Carolina since Kobe White. And if those are the vibes you mean, I can get on board with that. Like he's somebody that's going to affect the game from the get-go. And I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun to watch this dude play basketball. We get to do that all season long, and I'm here for it. Speaking of Kobe White vibes, that same season was the Zion Williamson season. BYU center Keba Keita, did he look like Zion Williamson to anyone else? I was like, this is baby Zion over here. I mean, he's smaller, but good grief. I don't know where this is coming from. I don't know if this is like a joke or going back, but Mark Whitaker says Withers was awful tonight. Are you just trying to trigger everyone? Mark, what's happening here? Withers was great down the stretch, by the way. Good for him. I hope he's doing well. Hope he's recovered from that gross injury he had right at the end of the season. Kenneth Wilkins says, Final Four team. Here's why I bring that up. I honestly don't know if Carolina is a Final Four team. But I do know that BYU is a very good basketball team. And I get that it's an exhibition game. But you know what we do with exhibition games? We overreact, and we love it because this is what we do with basketball. We overreact. And that's what I'm going to do. Because Carolina just lost by 2 points, a game where they had a shot to win or tie on the final possession of the game without a guy who might be their leading scorer or second or third, if not, might be their best three-point shooter on the road in a not a true road environment, but a raucous semi-road environment. This is a team that's going to be able to compete and not get run out of gyms like they did last year or in 2023 when they didn't make the tournament. I don't know how Carolina is going to do against Kentucky in Rupp. I don't know if you watched the Purdue-Kentucky game tonight. They looked really good. Kentucky did. Did you watch the Kansas game as well, playing at Louisville? Man, speaking of dudes, Darren Peterson is nice with it, man. I love that. So Kenneth Wilkins, I don't know if this is a Final Four team, but we wouldn't have been able to say this last year or 3 years ago, excuse me. This is an NCAA tournament team. Clearly, obviously. And remember, much easier schedule for them this year. I'm feeling good about this Carolina team. Yeah, a lot of the same types of stuff we've said. Yep, Grand Fresh says front court is soft. They are going to have to toughen up, man. There was Keba Keita was just, now that dude's a brute. Let's be honest about that. But they're going to have to be able to end defensive possessions with more defensive rebounds. Just too many times tonight, Carolina had the ball ripped from them, and so we got to get rid of that. Man, I'm sure there's so much more in here, but we got to T-Man, let's get salty with it here. T-Man says, Isaac, do you think the field is 68 and CBS is still going to say we're the most overrated team in the top 25? It is just an exhibition game. But how can you not have watched this exhibition game and said, that's a Carolina team that is wildly better than anything we saw last year? I mean, NBA scouts see it. There were 35 scouts at this game from 21 different teams. That is telling you something. Yes. But you know what? Keep sleeping. Let's wait. Let's see what happens when Carolina hosts Man, I want to beat Kansas so bad. Carolina really, really needs to do that. E. Burks says, I am a Louisville fan. UNC is impressive, athletic, and big. Look, E. Burks, I had a great time watching Louisville play tonight. I had to turn it off, so I didn't get to see the end of it. But, man, both Louisville and Kansas, I thought, looked good. It's great to have Ali Khalifa back and playing. And so, man, lots and lots of really good stuff there. So, you guys. Joker says, since you started your podcast, UNC never got there. Where? You mean the NCAA tournament? They've not been as consistently good. That's fair. That's a good point, Joker. But you know what? The year I started this podcast for the Locked On Network was the year that Carolina went to the national championship. Fair, they lost, but they ended Coach K twice. And then they were a 1 seed a couple years later, got derailed by Jaron Stevenson in Alabama. But miss me with that, Joker. No, but I feel you. They've not been great season in and season out. So, gang, I'm sure there are more comments. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to scroll back through your comments, and if there's other questions or things to get to from Monday's show, we're going to do that because I want to make sure to catch a lot of the great questions and comments and observations that you guys had from this game. I never want to miss those things. Oh, basketball is back, baby. Okay, Carolina back in action basketball-wise Wednesday at home hosting Winston-Salem State. And then the next Monday, November 3rd, the regular season tips off with Central Arkansas. And then 2 weeks from tonight, Carolina hosts Kansas in the return game from last year where Elliot Cadeau almost tied the game or won the game at the buzzer, that right wing 3, the same one he hit against Notre Dame to tie that game with the that 4-point play. You remember that absurdity? That was crazy. And so lots of great stuff there. Carolina hosting Virginia tomorrow in football. We'll go live after that one. Kick is at noon Eastern. Man, come on, football. Let's do work out there. You guys, great to be together. Thanks so much for being with us tonight. It's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. If you've not subscribed to the show, do it right now. If you've not joined the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, we'd love to see you there. If you've not become a Locked On Tar Heels insider, man, that's the way to go next level. I'm finishing off getting all the stats together for the season. Then you're going to have free access to every bit of it. I put in all that hard work for you. So come find it and enjoy it. It's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again tomorrow after the football game. But until then, peace.